Hello and welcome to Robin Hood's Nottingham. Now, you may have read in your morning newspapers that our greatest ever summer of sport has finally come to a close. Well, true enough, I've had to pull on a jumper. But other than that, of course, it's utter nonsense because as you and I both know, it's only stage 2. Ipswich in a heat haze and Britain in the middle of a cycling craze. A perfect storm then for the start of the Tour. Team Sky rolling out with the world champion and the Tour de France champion in their midst. They were spectators though as the four-man break got away. Rafa Condor's pugnacious, almost Texan Christian House targeting the Skoda King of the Mountains points, although the pimples of East Anglia barely registered on the altimeter. The other three were Johnny Clark from United Healthcare, Niels Wittink of An Post Sean Kelly and Ronnie Matthias of Saya Sojasan, who won 2 of the day's Yodel sprints. Their lead grew to 7 minutes before the inevitable catch. Then Team Sky hit the front as they ran into the Norfolk Showground, setting up the world champion for a bunch sprint. Well, that was the theory anyway.
1.5 kilometres to go. Wiggins, you can just see in those yellow sunglasses that he's worn ever since he won the Maillot Jaune. Cavendish has gone down and there's a massive crash at the back there and that's left Bradley Wiggins off the front. Now then into the finishing funnel and just look at this. It's Boy Van Poppel leading this one out, trying to get the stage victory, but on the right it's a rider from Sky, so the main sprinter's on the floor but Sky are still in the shake-up for victory and that looks like Luke Rowe to me.
In the carnage and almost unnoticed, Bradley Wiggins hit the deck too. But all that left young Luke Rowe to ride out an opportunistic and memorable maiden professional win, which incidentally automatically puts him into the race lead. Here's the sharp end then of the general classification. Luke Rowe gets a 10-second bonus for winning. Matthias picked up 7 seconds out on the road. The marvellously named Dutchman Boy Van Poppel picked up 6 seconds for his second place, with Endura's Russ Downing's third place handing him 4 seconds. Then there are 34 riders all on 10 seconds, including John Tiernanlock, Ivan Basso, Mark Cavendish and Bradley Wiggins. No time losses for them as the crash happened in the final 3K. Well, hot, fast and actually fairly damaging. A lot of riders losing quite a lot of time in the general classification. But let's start with the basics of that stage, Matt. Crash after crash, wasn't there really?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very frenetic finale. With about 20-25k to go, the pace was hotting up, the brake was about to be caught, and there were several pinch points on the course, extremely narrow. And I believe that the riders went over a small humpback bridge. One of the riders clipped a low wall and brought half the field down. So then we had a group of 30 out front. And that group then, with a K to go, wiped out on the corner, which was the crash that took out Mark Cavendish and half the Garmin team.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Cavendish is phenomenal, isn't he? He got up, dusted himself down, and it looked for a while like he was looking for someone to blame, and perhaps in this case there wasn't really anyone. But the thing about him that I noticed is he crashes, but he never gets hurt, never breaks collarbones, never gets seriously injured.
It's quite incredible. I mean, the risk these sprinters take is phenomenal, and guys can get very, very seriously injured. But as you say, Cav just bounces. He gets up, he dusts himself down, very pugnacious, resilient, and again, a couple of days later he'll pick up a stage, so we can't write him off just yet. Glorious
weather. I have to say it's slightly drizzling here in Nottingham,
yep.
But wonderful crowds. I mean, to rival anything that you could have seen in the Tour de France, actually.
Definitely. Well, we should be proud, really. I mean, the public have really taken cycling to their hearts over the last few months, especially on the back of Cav and Wiggo. But extremely impressive crowds. A bit overwhelming at times, actually. Lots and lots of GB flags.
Excellent stuff. OK, we've been out and about gathering a few opinions in the peloton about everything that went on yesterday. Hard to see from the television pictures, but what caused it, do you think?
Sharp corner, 100 degrees, it's always going to be sketchy around there, one line, but you do your homework, you know that, it's one line. Net up guys come underneath, I'm on my train, we've got a lead out, we can lean out 10k, and net up guy come underneath, and if there's a barrier, he's come out and it's turned sharper, so he's just come up into me, if there's a barrier, I'd have hit the barrier and crashed. If I'd have gone off the road, I'd hit the gravel, crash, but he's just come up, and quick as I know, I didn't know it, he's come up, and our handlebars have locked, and boom, I've just gone over, so.
Ivan, after one day on the Tour of Britain, how did you find it?
Yeah, I think the first of all, it's really impressive for me to see so many people on the road, and I think the cycling in UK, it's really fantastic. It's the first time for me, and I'm really, really happy.
What about the weather and the food? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, the weather at the moment, yes. Food, it's okay.
What did you have for breakfast?
Yeah, same. Rice, eggs, and some jam and bread. So
German bread? We have sausages, bacon, baked beans, mushrooms, none of that, no?
Yeah, I try to eat same stuff like when I'm home in the other races. So,
John, you managed to escape all the trouble yesterday for first thing.
Yeah, weaved my way through the car. It's just about more luck than anything else, but yeah.
Actually, your team did really well, didn't they? Getting on the front and avoiding some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a few people had said, why were we doing that? It was just to stay out of trouble, and we knew there was going to be a small road, so I think it was the best thing. I mean, the race split up. Apparently, there were crashes behind, so I think it was the right call.
Absolutely. Now, 3 Cat 1 climbs today, but then it's quite a long flat chase, isn't it, to the end? So it's not necessarily a Tien and Lock attack day, is it?
Not at all, no. Just try and conserve my energy a bit today, and I think maybe, try and set Russell up. He's going well, so try and set him up in the sprint.
Very fine victory, a little bit unexpected.
Yeah, a little bit unexpected for sure. I mean, we were trying to set up a good lead out for Cav. We had it, and I think we would have had it perfect. We had Brad, me, then Cav going into the last case. So I think it would have turned out perfect. But yeah, it just shows how unpredictable our sport is. And if you're going to ride at the front and stay at the front all day, sometimes things like that are going to happen, and it's going to turn out in your favour.
Sticks you right in the hot seat now, doesn't it? You're going to be leading the team and defending that jersey.
Well, yeah, sticks me in the hot seat in terms of, I mean, it is only the first stage. It's an 8-day stage race. When it comes to crunch time on the real tough climbs, I don't know if I am going to be able to climb with the top guys. So I think we just got to take it day by day. We've got so much strength and depth. So we got 6 riders here, 5 riders were in the front group yesterday. So we've got a lot of strength and depth. So it's not just me. I think we got to take it day by day and just see how things go.
Well, one of the interesting questions to emerge from all that is what now for Team Sky exactly? Luke Rowe, he's a neo-pro, isn't he? He's leading this race. I suppose the question is for how much longer and how much effort will they throw behind his tour now?
Yeah, very interesting set of circumstances yesterday. I don't think it was in Sky's plan for Luke to win, but obviously he salvaged what was at the end of a very, very disappointing day for them. But yeah, I mean, a neo-pro, but an extremely talented one. I mean, he's been through the British Academy system for many years, and obviously this is now an opportunity for him, and I think that Sky will ride for him.
He is the kind of rider, he's got the kind of profile that would benefit from the kind of course that the Tour of Britain throws up. He's rangy, he's dynamic, and he's versatile, isn't he?
Definitely. I mean, it's not like we've got massive mountain passes to climb up. These are British hills. Luke will know them well. He's raced on British soil many, many times, so he'll be familiar. And again, he's got a hell of a backup crew with Sky. So I think you'll see them still working for Cav for the finishes, but looking after Luke just to see what happens.
Well, fascinating stuff. And today could be the first test of their credentials there for Team Sky and how Luke Rowe will cope with the hills ahead. Here's what they have in store on today's stage. Stage 2 starts at the castle in Nottingham before the riders head to the Peak District and then on to Cheshire. The first of the day's first category climbs appears after 25 kilometres of riding, Cross of the Hands, and it continues in this vein via Alstonfield and the final categorised climb at Morridge. Then it's down through Cheshire to Knowsley Safari Park. After the pancake flat roads of East Anglia, Stage 2 throws up more testing tarmac for the peloton. Departing from Nottingham, the riders then head for the hills in the Derbyshire Dales and the more significant climbs of the Peak District. Valleys, rivers, hills and moors provide the main framework for the stage before the descent into Cheshire and the race for the finish line at Knowsley Safari Park.
I'm 49 kilometres into the stage now and about to start the second KOM. KOM stands for King of the Mountains, and it's a competition designed to reward the best climber in the race. In a similar format to the Tour de France, points are on offer and various intermediate climbs along each stage. In general, the more severe the climb, the more points there are on offer. It's for this reason that it's generally a rider who managed to get himself into a few breakaways who will win this competition at the end of the race. Speed of the riders over the top of these KOM points varies greatly depending on the situation, in particular the gradient. If you've got one of over 15% at the top, the riders will be doing probably less than 20 kilometres per hour. On the other hand, it's like this one, it's only around about 5%. You've got a few riders sprinting for those points. You can see speeds over 40 kilometres per hour. With all of the climbs on today's stage being category 1, it's going to make for a tough day in the saddle.
Well, that was Dan Lloyd's view of Stage 2, and this is Matt Stevens' view of Stage 2. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? The composition of the break today, with so many riders, big-name riders in the case of Sammy Sanchez, for example, already so far down in the general classification. The break could be quite strong today, couldn't it?
It could. I mean, there's definitely the climbs to split the field. They come in rapid succession. First climbs after 17 miles, and then all the climbs are over after 40 miles, so still 60 miles to go. But again, I think there'll be a general regrouping. I think you'll see guys go out the back, but a general regrouping at the front. But yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how today plays out, because a lot of the foreign guys won't know these climbs, and they're very, very technical on the descents. Absolutely, fascinating stuff. John Tiernan loves to climb. That's exactly the kind of terrain that suits him. But the profile doesn't really go in his favour today, does it? No, I think the profile he'd want is the climbs at the end, so I think Caerphilly will be a stage for him. Today I think he'll sit there, he won't want to lose any time, and I think you see him right at the head of affairs, but I don't think he'll be showing his cards just yet. All right, thanks very much, Matt. Let's find out just how inaccurate all of our predictions have been for today's stage. Let's join the race commentators Hugh Porter and Rob Hales.
Well, once again, massive crowds have turned out to cheer the riders on at the start of Stage 2 from Nottingham Castle to Knowsley Safari Park, 180 kilometres. And I wonder if that man on the left will still be wearing the IG Markets gold jersey as leader of the Tour of Britain. And that's Luke Rowe of Sky, of course. But the one big absentee not to start this morning is Tyler Farrar, due to injuries sustained yesterday. King of the Mountains, Christian House on the right at the side of Luke Rowe.
And there is Luke Rowe in that gold IG Markets race leaders jersey. Christian House here. Rafa Condor took her maximum points yesterday in the King of the Mountains competition. Can he hold on to it today?
Just tidying up the other couple of classifications. In the Yodel Sprints classification, it's Rony Martias, the Frenchman who rides for Sochazon. But it's all smiles at the moment. Big Magnus Backstead on the left of the world champion Mark Cavendish, who in turn is talking to Bradley Wiggins. And the other classification we haven't mentioned at this stage is the Chain Reaction Cycles points classification, Boy Van Poppel. Well, early on here, but already there's a lot of riders keen to get on with it, and it's Orica Greenedge forging an attack right in the early stages. It would appear that they want to get clear today.
And that looks like the Australian there, Jack Bobridge, Olympic team pursuit silver medalist from London only a few weeks ago.
And let's not forget, he's the world record holder for the 4,000 metres individual pursuit as well. Now then, Team Rally sending a rider up here to join in the action with Bobridge.
Yep, that looks like Russell Hampton from Team Rally coming up to the back of Bobridge there. And also another rider, a local rider, Pete Williamson, I think, from Node 4 Giordano, just coming up as well.
So Pete Williams trying to come across as well. So as a rich mix of different teams here, we will tidy up the composition of these groups once they get back together. But at the moment, the back of the peloton, well, not too bothered at this stage, and they are allowing them to just dangle off the front at this stage. But it is Bobridge with a nice freewheeling action there that's rather keen to get on with it.
Yeah, and this peloton should be happy to let Bobridge and Hampton go. Neither of them closer than 7.5 minutes to the GC.
So the composition of this group: Pete Williams from Node 4 Giordano, Jack Bobridge of Orica Greenedge, Pablo Urtasun from Escatal Escadie, Matthias Krisek of Liquigas, Richard Hanley, Rafa Conda, and Russell Hampton from Raleigh.
And I think it's Handley and Krysek who are the danger men in this. Both of them only just outside 1:40 off of that lead of Luke Rowe and that IG Markets gold jersey.
Now we're heading on towards the first sprint in Duffield, 20 kilometres covered, and at the moment it looks like the Liquigas rider at the front in the green is trying for this. Huge crowds have turned out here to support the sprint, but as they come up to the line, it looks as though they're just content to roll over, and it's Williams that gets the 5 points. Hanley comes over the line second for 3. So good start here then by the rider on the Node 4 Giordano team as we confirm the result for you. But believe me, there's a lot more to come. 3 first category climbs, and they all come within approximately 40 kilometres. So the test for the day is about to start. Welcome back, and the 6 leaders are getting very close to the summit of the first category ascent of Cross Thans, and this is at the 28.6 kilometre point.
All 6 riders been riding nice and evenly, all setting pace, all taking their turn, but I'm sure that's going to change any minute when we get onto this climb and looking out for these points.
So there are points for the first 10 over the line here, and of course it's 10 to the first, all the way down to 1. And the big loser at the moment is the overnight leader in this competition, and that's Christian House of Rafa Condor, who had 12 points awarded to him after finishing first on all 3 third category climbs yesterday.
That's true, but he has got a teammate up here in the form of Richard Handley, who can help to mop up some of the points and keep them away from the other riders. But there are also points back in the peloton which he could still try and nip.
And that's something, of course, we will be monitoring as the climb is finally topped. Now then, right at the front, it's the rider from Escadí, and that, of course, is the Spaniard Pablo Hurtazon in the orange, and he seems content at the moment to lead and pull the rest along.
Crowds here starting to push into the road here, which if you're a little bit further back in this line of 6 riders, you could be getting a little bit balked in the roads as they step in to look at the race coming through.
Well, these 6 are certainly being given the opportunity here to create distance between themselves and the peloton, because the latest advantage we've heard is well over 3 minutes. Now look at this. This is the strike for the line, and it is the Spaniard that's looking for maximum points. Yes, he gets it. So over the line first was Hurtazon for 10, Russell Hampton over the line second for 9, and in third place it was Richard Handley coming through to get the 8 points. So that is the first ascent of the day. 2 more first cats to come. Look at this, gutter to gutter. What a fantastic sight as the Tour of Britain now threads its way through the early stages of this second leg. 26 miles have now been wiped away on their approach to the finish today, which will see them sprint it out in Knowsley Safari Park, a new watering hole on the Tour of Britain. Let me also tell you the situation in the Yodel Sprints competition, because we've had 1 sprint. As we look at the overall race leader, there he is, Luke Rowe, young fella. His young face actually belies his experience and determination, and that reflected yesterday when he weaved his way past the carnage to secure that first stage victory. So let me just tidy up the situation in the Yodel Sprints competition. We've had 1 so far today of 3 that came after 20 kilometres. Pete Williams was first to the top there, representing Node 4 Giordana. Second was Richard Handley, and Richard Handley's riding on Rafa Condor. Third was Jack Bobridge of Ulrika Greenedge, and in 4th place was Matthias Krysek of Liquigas. So it means in the overall standings, of the Yodel Sprint competition, the man that was the leader yesterday at the end of the stage, that's Ronnie Mathias of Sao-So-Chasson, a Frenchman. He's still in the lead with 12, and Christian House lying second. Those were the first and second positions after yesterday, but these riders that are clear now have got a chance to start to build into the advantage that they secured. You get the comment from a lot of our continental visitors about how hard the roads are when they rear up, and they're very, very steep. And we were just talking about, there's an attack here off the front, and it's the Rafa Condor rider that's going clear. Well, it's an early strike, isn't it, for the points now? Then can he hold off the challenge? Big attack here then off the front from the Rafa Condor rider. He's trying to split the group. Now then, why did he do that, sir? Why did he do that, Rob?
I don't know. He did it on the last climb as well. He's gone very early. It's around about 1 kilometre to the summit of this climb. And I don't know if he saw the 50-kilometre sign, which indicates that the riders can start feeding. They're 50 kilometres into the race. He saw it through the trees, and I wonder if he just panicked a little bit and thought that that was it.
Well, it was Richard Handley that went for it, and he's going again. Handley's attacking, but look at the power of the Spaniard on the line, and it looked like Hurtazon, to me, got the maximum points. So first place on both the climbs today for Hurtazon from Spain, but for the first 4 in the peloton, there's still points. As we look at the king of the mountains here, Christian House, who's distanced himself off the head of the peloton because he knows he will finish 7th at the summit, and they are very, very useful points.
They really are useful points. I think it probably won't keep the jersey for him today, that Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. He may well lose it today, but it keeps him in the hunt, and there's an awful lot of points at stake at the rest of this race.
Well, how interesting. Dan Craven at the back here. But what it means there, that the jersey now with Brltain, if he was the first over from the shot we saw, it looked like he got another 10 points there, and that means that he will have a tally of 20 points. As we look back to the King of the Mountains, Christian House, and Christian House has got 15, and if he gets 7th over the top here, is that going to be enough to keep him in the lead? Because 7 means he gets 4 points, and that means he's going to be trailing by 1 to the Spaniard, so he will have lost the lead in the King of the Mountains.
Yep, Christian House, I think he'll probably know it. He'll be working it out in his head. But he'll soon be getting information back from the car. John Herity in their team car, the team manager. And here he is, Brltain.
So there we are. It was Brltain that won that second climb in the Skoda King of the Mountains. So 10 points, as I said, added on to the Teddy one for the first climb, gives him an overall tally of 20. And let me just repeat my comment there. Be a bit of a mathematician here. Christian House approaching the summit of that second climb on 15 points. There he is. And he's in 7th position, which means he gets 4. And that means that his tally then will go up to 19. So he's lost the lead in the King of the Mountains jersey by 1 point. It's an interesting contest, isn't it? I mean, the thing is, if Brltain were to have a problem, and we don't particularly wish him to have a problem, but if he was pushed out of the top cluster in the sprint on the 3rd climb and Christian House was over in this position, he could still get the jersey back. Nice shot for Bobridge there. Very, very stylish. Do you think he's a contender for, or a candidate to attack the hour record, Rob?
I think he's physically most certainly could be.
Yeah.
But you know, in a few more years doing what he's doing, riding on the road, and the Grand Tours will only make him stronger. And it's certainly been spoken about with the possibilities of what Bradley Wiggins could do.
Taking the words out of my mouth, I was going to say really the #1 candidate to have a crack at that air record has got to be Bradley, isn't it?
It has, and I don't know if that is purely hearsay and it's what other people have been talking about, or whether it's actually come from Bradley Wiggins himself. And there he is.
Looks very cool and calm, as Bradley Wiggins, and the crash victim yesterday. And I did make the comment in commentary yesterday, he's really on everybody's invitation list to try and get him to functions. And really, when you've won the biggest event on the planet, the Tour de France, it must be very difficult to try and maintain your form and turn these invitations down.
Well, it really is, but no doubt if there's a beer on offer, he'll be there.
Well, I just hope that Bradley's going to be in good form for the forthcoming World Championships. The kind of course that the race is on, where it finishes over the top of the Kouberg down there in Holland, is a war of attrition style course, and Brad could do a ride.
Well, this year I wouldn't put anything past him. He has actually won a bump sprint this year.
Yep.
Although I mean, it was on a tougher course without the top sprinters, but that's the kind of scenario that we're going to have at the World Championships.
Just looks fully relaxed, doesn't he, Bradley Wiggins? Let me just repeat again his CV for this year. I mean, any one of these results I'm going to mention would be a dream for any rider. He's won the Paris-Nice, he's won the Tour Romandie, he's won the Dauphiné, and he's won the Tour de France, and then he's nailed a gold medal for the time trial to that list. How much more could you ask of this man? A little bit of discussion going on there between Bobridge and Brltain, discussing the approach, I think, to the next climb. What language they would be talking together in? What would you think?
Well, Bobridge is based down in Girona.
Ah, right.
So it could very well be an amalgamation of possibly a little bit of French, Spanish, Basque, the odd English word. There's often in cycling, the vocab is fairly similar.
This is a very multilingual sport, and The first language always, of course, was French, but it is, I think, English now, the first language of the peloton.
Well, there's so many English-speaking riders and English-speaking teams on the Orica Green Edge, one of them, Team Sky. I think the language spoken around the dinner table generally is English, especially amongst the Sky riders. Garmin Sharp.
That's another good point, actually. I mean, you rode for Cofidis, didn't you, and the French teams. It's really a dream to be in a team like Sky, where, of course, the squad is predominantly British. Now then, there's a face of concentration, licking his wounds for that crash yesterday. He dearly would like to put this right today, and the way the pattern of the race is beginning to unfold here, it's working out very nicely for Cav. And again, it's a technical style finish, so it could play into the hands of Cavendish. As they come into Knowsley Safari Park, it loops all the way round before it lines up for the run to the line. Similar situation to the finish yesterday, so once again, vigilance is going to be the order of the day, and the roads were a little damp in the Safari Park as we came in this morning, but the skies are getting lighter, so let's hope it'll be a dry, because they don't want another problem to deal with as they race it out towards the finish. That's quite a long way away, but Cavendish, I must admit, is dealing with these climbs very well.
He is. I mean, he obviously not renowned as a climber, but really more for when we get into the big high mountains in the Grand Tours, as we can see Handley going again, yet again, the third time on the third climb he's going.
Yep, Handley has gone very, very early here to try and pick up the maximum 10 points at the top of this third climb, but he's been chased down by Erterson, who's won both the previous climbs, and he's the current leader in the King of the Mountains on 20 points. Richard Handley really rifling his intentions here and almost sending a telegram to the Spaniard, who's bridging the gap quite comfortably. He looks a lot fresher and lighter as he dances his way up to the wheel of the rider from Rafa Conda. Now he's making his effort, and once again then Pablo Erterson is going to top the climb in first place, and that means he will have picked up 30 points today. He's having a really first-class day in the office. Handley second, Bobridge third at this stage, but there's still a little way to go to the line, but the Spaniard does look very good.
He really does. He's so much stronger than the other riders, and Handley, well, he's there. He's been trying to sprint on all three climbs, not to try and get points to take the jersey, but to try and take points away from this Spanish rider Ertazan, to try and help to keep his own teammate Christian Haus in that jersey, that Skoda's Mountain jersey.
Well, Handley trying to get back up to the Spanish rider Erterson, but he's taken flight here. He sprouted his wings and flown away from the rest, and look at this, he's just tapping the rhythm out nicely. But Handley begins to gather himself here for a second strike. Now the Spaniard will need to look across, because Handley, he's closing down on him, but I think he's done enough. I'm looking for the line, which he's approaching, because as I say, it's going to be 10 points at the top for him.
Yeah, Handley there, the 22-year-old. Just needs to learn a little bit of tactics. I think he's just a little bit young, and he's just going out far too early.
But it's a very, very long climb, this, Rob. It's 2.5 kilometres, and what's happened here is, due to that very early strike by Handley, it caused the Spaniard to react, and I think he's looked back as much as to say, well, why did you go that early?
Yeah, I don't really understand it. I think he's just misreading these climbs. He's done it on the previous two climbs as well, and what it has done, it's really set up this final climb to be quite an interesting sprint now. It's broken this six-man group up. They're in absolute pieces now.
And Bobridge is looking across, so it's Bobridge, Handley, and then just tucked in at the back, it's Russell Hampton. Hampton's now having a crack. Now that I'm just wondering if the effort by the Spanish rider could cost him the 10 points.
Well, he's coming up. It looks like he's coming up to that sprint now, but Blimey, what a mess this one is. It really is. It's false flat over the top. It was a steeper section at the bottom of the early part of the climb. Wow.
And the break now has fragmented into 3 different groups. We've got Urtasun at the front. We've got this trio trying to bridge to him. They are going to pick him up now. And then 2 more riders have been detached off the back. And Bobridge is really trying to get the rest to start to put some effort into this, because he feels that this is a good advantage.
Well, he's having a word with Handley there, saying, I think he's saying, what on earth are you doing? You've really put the cat amongst the pigeons at the moment in this group.
And of course Christian House, who started the day as the leader in this classification, is just keeping an eye on anybody that's trying to jump away.
Here you can see the flags for the finish of this first category climb. So this go to King of the Mountains, and Russell Hampton takes it up.
Yep, Russell Hampton then from Rally's having a crack here. This is the 3rd time they've sprinted on this climb, and Hampton looks as though he might take the points at the top. Here comes the late challenge on the left. Urtasun, the Spaniard, trying to get in front of Russell Hampton, and still this rider who has won the first 2 climbs has got the horsepower to overhaul the rest. Urtasun takes the 10 points on the top, and in 2nd place is the rider there from Rally, and that is Russell Hampton.
Well, Urtasun there. The rider here in orange, we can see, so much stronger and faster than the other riders in this group.
So that's taken Russell Hampton's tally to 26. Here's another chance to have a look at the sprint. Bobridge at the back just clinging to the tail, but it's the sheer horsepower of the Spaniard Urtasun that takes the top points. 2nd then is Richard Handley, and 3rd place then coming in, sorry, Richard Handley of Rafa Conda coming in 3rd place, Russell Hampton coming in 2nd.
We could just see from the flags there at the top of the climb, we're obviously at the top, it's open, but the wind is extremely strong coming across from the left-hand side, which is going to make it a little bit harder for the riders behind, trying to get back up to them.
Time to get their 2nd win now on the descent. The peloton behind here have certainly taken their foot off the gas, as Christian House just said, excuse me, I'm coming through. So Christian House, I wonder if he's making a move early like the previous efforts of the leading group. Or Christian House has made an early strike then for the line because he fancies the points here. He's still in the shake-up, and he's not going to throw it away lightly.
No, well, Christian House, he's made the move on his own, and Wittink there from his team, his Belgium team there, they've got together, and he's got a rider with him, leading him out.
Here comes an attack by Christian House. House then goes to the front. He fancies the 7th place here over the line, because that will give him 4 points. Is the attack on the other side. He comes off that bend, and he's going to lose it, so 7th place then, he's actually going to go to Whiting. I think that's Whiting. And Christian House settles for 8th place on the climb. So 8th place gives him 3 points, and that takes Christian House's tally up to 22.
1 minute 30 then, the gap to the peloton for our 6 leaders as they reach the 2nd sprint of the day at Chelford. Euskadi Euskaltel's Pablo Urtasun taking out maximum points, 80k still remaining on the stage. By the time they reached the 3rd intermediate sprint of the day at Culcheth, the rain had set in and the gap had been whittled down to just 55 seconds for the 6 leaders. Peter Williams this time crossing the line first. After the break, the chase is on.
Rafa Conda still on the right there in the black, and the rider from Raleigh. Now then, Jack Bobridge having a crack here, the Australian. My goodness me, 49 kilometres to go, and Bobridge is deciding to take it on. Now, this is very early to go here, Rob.
It is, but what it's doing, it's drawing the group out. It's putting more speed and more impetus into them, because he knows that time's coming back. And what he's wanting to do is try and stay out there for as long as possible. he's really starting to apply the pressure, and what it's doing, it's also taking pressure off of his teammates backing the bunch, because as long as they have a rider out in the break, they have the onus is not on any team to be on the front of the bunch, and it's applying more and more pressure onto Team Sky to try and bring this break back.
So this is this is the residue of the break. Remember, the two have gone away, Williams and Bobridge, and that is the Italian from Liquid Gas at the front there. That's Krajcek, and I think he's decided. I think they've actually capitulated here, Rob. They're just waiting for the arrival of the peloton. I know it's 31 seconds, but they're not really bothered, are they? Clear road behind, so it does show you that they are establishing the lead, and it is confirmed. It's gone up. It's on 63 seconds now. And here we are. This is the arrival of the bunch, and they're going to sweep up the four. So nice aerial shot here then of the field as they're beginning now to thread their way through the roads that'll line them up for the run to the finish. And the whole field nearly complete. You can just see the two nearly to the top of our picture on the right as they just wait for the arrival of the field, and all back together. So it's looking very much as though we're going to be treated to a spectacular sprint finish here in Knowsley Safari Park. So I suppose we've got to speculate on the big sprinters. Mark Cavendish, as we've mentioned throughout the commentary, I mean, he is the fastest man on the planet, no question about it, the Manx Express. And is he going to make it first this time? Is he going to stay upright? Let's hope we don't get any drama like we had yesterday. Just looking through the sea of faces there, Rob, to spot any of the other sprinters. There's Cav. Oh, another big crash here at the back. This is always what happens. And that looks like big Magnus Backstedt. It is. Magnus Backstedt's caught up in this. And that's Briggs as well, Briggs of Raleigh. And the others seem to be in quite a lot of trouble.
Yeah, this is one of the problems. You get yourself further back down the peloton, and there's more and more chance of a crash. Jones there. And they're all going to have to shake this one out. They're going to have to jump around a bit and hop about just to clear the pain. Oh, they look awfully sore. The right-hand shoulder there.
Benefato.
He's gone down again. Benefato, he's already on a spare bike. He's had a torrid time.
Chance to see it again. Let's have a look. Well, it looks like just overcooking the corner there, catching the curb, and then, of course, the rest just following on. Big Magnus Backstedt, well, he was only delayed. He didn't actually fall, but looks like a shoulder injury here to the rider from Raleigh as he waits for a fresh bike. Two riders now try to go clear. We've got an attack on here then, Rob. Two men trying to go clear. So one rider gets swept up, two try to go away. This looks like United Healthcare to me, and they've got a rider from Escati with them.
They have. Is it Netap and Escatel going?
Yep.
All sorts of trouble now back in the peloton. Nobody, because there's no real control, no one team taking up the pressure. I saw Mark Cavendish earlier. He only had two Sky riders with him in front of him, so I don't know what's going on there, but it's all hell is breaking loose now back in this bunch.
So Team Netap trying to have a crack here on the front with a rider from the Spanish setup of Escatel Escadi. And is this going to be the winning move? Because behind, look, it's beginning to fracture significantly. Gold jersey well back in the line there, so this little attack has caused a few problems.
It hasn't. It's quite technical now. Fortunately, the roads look dry, so hopefully we won't have any issues of riders slipping on these bends.
There's the gap. It's not much. Slender advantage, but if you could just get into the par with that lead, and they've got Jan Barter as their team leader, Netap, and Jan Barter was third overall in the Tour of Britain last year. So they're hanging on, aren't they? 2 kilometres to go. Here comes the cavalry charge from behind. It's beginning to form now as they chip away at the little advantage the brace of riders have established, and nobody seems to want to take it on. The Sky rider palmed away the rider on his side. He said, look, I'm going to apply the pressure and bring them back, and that's exactly what's happening.
Here we go. We've got Christian Nies now, the German rider from Sky, doing the chasing. He's brought it back. That's it. They've nullified it. Brad Wiggins there in second place. Luke Rowe It looks like they're going to go for their plan A again and try and lead out Mark Cavendish for the win here today in Knowsley.
So it's a similar scenario to yesterday. Now then, it's all about staying upright, isn't it? The gold jersey on the shoulders then of Luke Rowe. He looks back to see that Mark Cavendish is still in his wheel, and we're getting closer to the finish now. Team Sky really beginning to apply the pressure. They've ignited the burners and they're applying a lot of speed and strength at the front, and it's putting the rest here on the back marker.
And this peloton now, they're in the park. Just the last few hundred metres to go now. Here they come through the gates.
So 1.2 kilometres to go. So the Flamme Rouge is just ahead of them. The pennant that indicates it's 1 kilometre to go. And they're hugging the side of the road here with Bradley Wiggins on the front. The Olympic gold medalist from London in the time trial, beginning to raise the tempo here. Luke Rowe then, the man wearing that IG Markets gold jersey, is in second position. There it is, the red pennant, 1 kilometre to go.
1 minute, one desperate minute of effort left in this peloton. Who is going to come away with this victory? We've got 3 bends left to go.
And right on the front with that look on his face of anguish is Bradley Wiggins. He really is beginning to apply the pressure now. When you are riding at that kind of tempo, nobody at all can come through. Wiggins swings over, job done. It's now the turn of Luke Rowe. Luke Rowe then is the man that is now beginning to put in the final touches to the lead out, ready for Mark Cavendish. And there's an attack on the left there to spoil the party. And Cavendish has got caught napping there. It's left Rowe on the front. Now then, Mark Cavendish is going to have to dig deep here and come round the 2 riders that have surprised him. I think he's got the firepower to do it as they're swinging for the run to the line now. Rowe looks back to see where Cavendish is. Here's Cavendish trying to come through, but he could be hemmed in. And it looks like the Australian on the front, Origa Greenedge, as they come up to the line. Here comes Mark Cavendish. Oh, he's beaten into second place. So second place to Mark Cavendish. What a finish that was.
Lee Howard then winning fair and square. Orica Greenedge getting more than just an edge over Mark Cavendish, shaking his head at a rare defeat and perhaps a slight misjudgment. Second place was all he could manage. Boy Van Poppel adding a third to his second place of yesterday. Ross Downing made 5th, with Luke Rowe back in 10th place and a second down on the winner. Now that was only half the story. After a mixed day for Luke Rowe and a somewhat scrappy lead-out, things took a very strange turn indeed. He was originally awarded the gold leader's jersey of the Tour of Britain and stood on the podium celebrating it, but shortly after that the judges had another look at the video of the finish and decided that he had been gapped, all of which meant that they had to revise the overall standings, and United Healthcare's Boy Van Poppel took a slightly unexpected overall race lead. So here is the official general classification. Van Poppel's higher average placing means that he leads, even though Lee Howard is on the same time. Luke Rowe now drops to 3rd place, 1 second off. Mark Cavendish is up to 5th, and Peter Hawkins is in 10th, one of a group of 18 riders at 11 seconds, including Basso, Wiggins and John Tiernan-Locke. Van Poppel, though, gets the IG Markets gold jersey. Better late than never. Boy, congratulations on your unexpected jersey. At first, of course, you didn't think you'd won it, and now you find out you had. A strange way to lead a race.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I have him, so I'm really happy about it. I feel good and try to sprint as good as possible, and I finished 3rd, so I hope I have the yellow jersey, and finally I have him. So. And
now your team has to defend.
Yes, yeah. We are really motivated because for us this is a really big race, and we hope we can hold this for a long time.
We've done very well. Good start. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, another, shall we say, incident-packed day at the Tour of Britain. We had that crash yesterday, and well, we've got another story today, haven't we? Human error on the finish line there from the judges. I mean, bike races are complex things, and occasionally it just happens.
Yeah, in bike races, lots of people under pressure, the teams, the riders, and obviously the people behind the scenes sometimes. It's just human error, one of those things, but I'm sure we can move forward and the rest of the race will be a complete success.
Yeah, well, Boy Van Poppel, now tell us a little bit about him, because he's placed really well on these first 2 stages, hasn't he?
Yeah, extremely consistent, just like his dad, Jean-Paul Van Poppel, the previous winner of the green jersey in the Tour de France. So, you know, Boy does come from extremely good stock.
Yeah, so does Mark Cavendish, of course, and well, the shot of him shaking his head over the finish line, he will probably accept he kind of got that wrong, and he's a frustrated man so far, isn't he?
Yeah, Mark's had an unlucky couple of days. I think the timing today, I think he just got it wrong today at the finish. But again, he'll just regroup, and I've no doubt that we'll see Mark take a stage in this race.
Yeah, and it could be as early as tomorrow, although the elements might be against him.
Yeah, it's looking to be pretty grim. I mean, it's a bit overcast now here, but as we head north to the Scottish borders, yeah, I think we're going to be in for a windy and wet day. OK, let's hope so, or not, as the case may be. OK, stage 3 runs from Jedburgh to Dumfries tomorrow. It'll be wild, windy, and it'll be live on ITV4 at 1:30 p.m. Do join us then.